Twitch to make sure we are looking good there. Yes, I think all right, we're there. Watch now live. Test the sound. Yeah, we're coming through nice and clean and loud. All right, I want to share our sponsor, Lamont's Barbecue. The summertime's coming up. I mean, it's getting hot here in San Diego, and I know it's getting hot in Texas. So
yeah, you know what? This coming week we may touch 100 for the first time this year.
Yeah, it's going to be hot in Texas. That's why I love San Diego. So we want to share a wonderful a commercial by our sponsor, Lamont's Barbecue. Barbecue season's here. And let me edit. There we go.
Over 150 years ago, in a plantation kitchen near Jackson, Tennessee, Lucinda Macklin, the head cook, created masterpieces of Southern cooking every day. With her culinary creativity and her knowledge of certain secrets of food preparation, Lucinda made her very own special sauces. She developed a variety of marinades and sauces full of diverse herbs, spices, and a whole lot of love. The thick and tangy barbecue sauce she made was so rich, it was poured into jars rather than bottles. Soon, Lucinda's delicious, authentic sauces became known all across the South. Lucinda Macklin was wise enough to realize that her gift for cooking wasn't truly a gift until it was given.
Looks like Andy's
So
waiting
she
to be
passed
let
her
in.
many recipes on to her daughter, Osabel, and Osabel imparted her knowledge to her daughter, Thelma.
It's a really excellent
Thelma
product.
kept the tradition alive by passing those precious gifts to her son, Lamont Burns. And Lamont is still passing it on and on and on.
I'm Lamont Burns, inviting you to enjoy my great-grandmother Lucinda's recipes in every jar of the Lamont's authentic Southern marinade and barbecue sauce. You spend good money on meats, but you're probably not getting that good down-home flavor. Marinate your meat in Lamont's marinade. It puts the flavor from the skin to the bone, long before you ever cook it. Then add the Lamont's authentic Southern barbecue sauce, and I tell you, you got some good eating.
And good eating it is. It's really an excellent product. Seafood, poultry, steaks, spare ribs, everything. Marinate them raw, put them on the grill, cook them. The sauce goes on afterwards to baste on there, and it's excellent. So, all right, so you guys actually get, let me stop sharing that screen and share another. You guys get 10% off. So I'm going to put a discount code for the Lamont's Barbecue discount. So it's SDPUG 2025. So use that 10% off on all barbecue sauce products. I'll post it throughout the presentation. Okay, we've got a fantastic presentation lined up. It's always such a great honor to have the LightWave 3D team here. And the man who's headed, one of the men who heads up the team is Deuce Bennett. He's here. You can see him right there in the side. I've got the LightWave 3D website up here. Let me kind of start that over again. I'm at LightWave 3D. I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and I'm going to put it into the chat box so everybody, for your convenience, want to go check out the website yourself. This is the place to go to buy LightWave. LightWave is one of the, out of all the paid packages in the industry, LightWave is going to be the least expensive and also the most productive packages out there, out of all the ones that you got to pay for. So they're coming back, they're upgrading and improving the program. It's been a long time since we've seen these upgrades and improvements. There was a lot of doubt as to whether or not LightWave was going to be with us to this day. Andrew, I think now you mentioned Andrew Bishop might be here.
Yeah, he's actually waiting to be let in.
Oh, there you are. I'm sorry, Andrew.
I was enjoying the barbecue sauce, my friend.
We like to abuse our guests. That means you arrived.
Been here 2 days. I like to be early. Nah, it's all good. All good.
Oh man, this is a great honor to have you on board. Thank you so much for taking your time to be here. I've got a lot of no comments about a lot of the guests are mentioning they're going to definitely be here watching stuff. So this is all being recorded, by the way, and I'll make sure you guys get a copy of it. So this is exciting. I have been bugging Deuce forever to get you on here. I do these every week. So I call this the Blender 3D and LightWave broadcast because a lot of people have been going over the Blender, including myself. But because I started my whole career in LightWave, I wanted to keep LightWave alive. So I think it's been actually a pretty good benefit. So I tell you what, let me just stop talking. Why don't you just share? You guys could just do whatever the heck you want. I know Deuce wants to come on and do some LightWave demos, but you just do whatever. Talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Oh goodness, we can talk about since this is kind of like this is our first foray back into this with you guys. Yeah. Andy, why don't you, Uncle Andy? Why don't you tell us the story?
Uncle, can I call him Uncle?
Whatever.
A rich uncle?
Well, Stephen, I've always wanted to have a rich and famous friend, and up until this point, you've been a big disappointment. So I had to go.
Right. I try.
Oh dear. So what do you want to just sort of give a bit of background of why we got it and
well, yeah, I mean, it is one of those things that, I mean, as Stephen said, he started in LightWave. We started in LightWave. Yeah. Well, heck, I started, Sculpt 3D, all those things back on the Amiga. And, I think we were all kind of, I know that it broke me when LightWave went away. And, there was just this communication that you reached out to me and you said, Deuce, I've got this design. Want to do this? And I'm like, I'm there. You're nuts, but I'm there. But, I think that, it's just one of those, it's one of those stories that, we've been going now, is it 2 years?
So this is the completion in about a month. Oh, no, exactly, just over two years. Yeah. So I think May 4th was on the day we bought it 2 years ago. And we've just done the celebration of 2 complete years. I think when we would have had it earlier, frankly. We tried to get it probably 3 years before. And we came very, very close, and then New Tech changed their mind at the last moment. So we had the funding, the money. We'd all agreed the basic terms on the day we were supposed to sign. They changed their mind, and I think it was basically they were hesitant to give away the technology because they were thinking of using a load of it inside, I presume, the TriCaster. And so it kind of went away, and then we got a call. About a year later, and by that time the funding we had gone. So because obviously one of the problems when you try to get funding for this kind of stuff, it's cyclic, and someone will be trying to spend the money before a certain date for tax reasons or whatever the case may be, and you've accumulated maybe 20-30 people to do that, and so we had to start again. So we effectively went back in trying to get funders. I managed to find Joe Moore, who was she's ex what's the name of the bank? She was part of it's not Goldman Sachs. It was can you remember the name of the
I'm trying to remember it.
Normally it just rolls off my tongue. I suppose it's because it's been 2 years. I just don't even think about it anymore. But she was basically head of tech investments for one of the biggest banks in the world, and she got involved, and I plotted out basically a 5 and 10 year plan of what I thought needed to happen, and talked about the whole of the 3D market, about where it was sitting, what was happening in the 3D market in general, and in the actual animation market, what was happening with that. And there were so many big pivotal things that happened in the last really probably 10 years, but probably the pinnacle of that was probably 3 years ago. And you had no real investment, no real development happening on 3D. So they were all stagnated, I think. And this is obviously my opinion, but actually, if I just give a bit of background, first of all, sorry, if I get boring, Stephen, just,
No, this is very interesting.
Yeah. So, but fundamentally, I think basically the animation market has been moving out to first Canada, then over to India and away from America, sadly. And yet, funnily enough, it wasn't moving out from the UK. The UK had always been very busy as the overspill for Hollywood. And so all the Marvel things were still being done here. In fact, most of the studios in the UK are fully booked for 10 years ahead. So they are fully booked, and that's Pinewood, those sort of guys. And in fact, Pinewood has expanded massively, and you've got Leaves and all the other studios there, and all of them are fully booked. And yet in LA, it was shrinking. And it was shrinking, I think, partly there was a couple of back-to-back strikes that didn't help. You had the writer's strike, and you had things that slowed down production cycles. And that went on for so long, some of that work then started being done in the UK and abroad. And then on the actual 3D software side, really, none of them had really been advanced further. I mean, one of the biggest tragedies, I think, for 3D in general was Softimage being bought and then effectively, 5 years later, scuppered. Yeah. That was the newest core engine in a 3D package, and yet that was dumped, and which was very sad. And I think that kind of threw a load of people away. And ironically, I think the ideal place interface-wise for if you go from Softimage, probably would have been LightWave had a fairly similar interface. And so that would have been a goodie. Or they had Maya, and obviously, LightWave at that point was underdeveloped, falling behind, and so Maya was the obvious choice for people to go to. So my studio, I've run studios in the UK for probably 24, 25 odd years. So not necessarily, you probably wouldn't know them over in the States, but there was a company called VTR, and we had AMG Effects and Film Factory there doing things like Lost in Space, Deep Blue Sea, those sort of things years ago, and commercials and numerous things. Then we set up Dark Side at Molyneux, which was doing relatively middle-sized budget movies and low-budget movies, but things like The Marksman and those sort of things. And then we went completely standalone, doing lots of TV series and those sort of things. So I've got a fairly extensive, 25 odd years of doing probably, 10, 15 odd movies, 30, 40 TV series, hundreds of adverts, that kind of stuff. And we had Maya in the studio, and we would use pretty much anything, that was needed to get it done. But the vast majority of the animation we did was in LightWave purely because of speed. It was one of the fastest animation interfaces to actually animate in. And when you're at the sharp end of production, that is fairly imperative that the faster you can get it out, the more profit you make, but also gives you an advantage over other systems. Where you decide to render is partly academic, because all of them are good today. There's not a bad render engine out there. LightWave obviously had the link with Octane fairly early on, and still has that today. And I suppose the thing that I was missing, if you tried the other packages, and it doesn't matter which of the other packages really, they all have things that they're particularly good at, all have things that they're not so good at. I mean, Houdini is probably the best particle system around and does smoke, flame, and those sort of things with more control and with a finer output probably than anything else around. The Maya people will obviously contest that, but the truth is that is the case, I would say. Maya's general character animation stuff and general animation interface is excellent, very, very good. I would say it's slower than LightWave, though, to actually animate in. And LightWave, obviously, is very fast. I would say Blender is, again, it's free, right? So it gets a lot of people into animation, for nothing. But in order to get that to where you need it to go to, you do need to spend money on the plugins to get it, higher up that tree. So from my point of view, I was looking at this and thinking, well, none of these guys are really heavily, rapidly developing. You weren't getting the two updates a year, and when you were getting updates, you were maybe getting 2 or 3 updates, not 10 or 20 big updates. Powerful things happening. And I kind of knew, when I was talking to Deuce before we bought it, that it was going to take us, a while to relearn the code, rework out what was not finished, what was finished, what was broken, what was all the things that you were going to have to do. So there was that. Then there was the catch up. Then you're also going to have to try to catch the software up, and then you can start pushing ahead and trying to get ahead in areas. And that's probably the stage where we are now. So we got it. Very little help from the guys who bought it. I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way. They're very busy, and they didn't really have the time and ability to go through code and give us all the things we needed. So first 3 or 4 months, we were fairly hamstrung, didn't have all the codes to access past codes, past builds, all those sort of things. That took us a while to get. We got some help from a lot of LightWave people who basically happened to have stuff, who gave us stuff. Old people who were not involved with either company helped us. So we got it. We rapidly went at trying to catch it up. So the first thing we did is put in the turbulence, which we needed to update, which we did update. So we put that in. And whilst it's not as fast as some of the other systems, its resolution quality is excellent. So that was good for me. And its actual operational speed from the animation point of view is very fast and very controllable. And of course, works with everything inside LightWave. So you're not having to go out of LightWave to use it. You can just do it within LightWave. So one of the things, again, we talked about it, was, which I think LightWave had lost its way a bit, was one of the great things when you first started using LightWave, I'm talking about 20 odd years ago, was it had more in it than most other packages had in one package. And it often enabled you to do almost the whole job, the entire job, inside LightWave standalone. And that was probably the case up until, let's say, 2000, maybe 2005, maybe a bit further, 2010. I don't know. When was 2015? That was in 2015.
Yeah.
But probably, after that point, it started falling way behind and off. Gradually, it's a slow decline, but it happened. And you then got, the scenario where other people are producing third-party plugins to fill the gaps, and it's moving further and further down the pecking order, where it needed to have been kept up to pace with the other packages, and ideally needed a lot of rebuilding at that stage, which didn't happen. So we got it. The first thing we did was get the turbulence. We got a fluid simulation we put on. We started getting a character animation system, which again, all of the things we got, we updated and put in. So rig it was excellent, and as a almost completely auto rig system, which was great. And that's one of the weakest areas for LightWave throughout its history, of course, has been the lack of ability to do multiple characters animated with a decent rig on the same screen at the same time. You could do 2, maybe 3, but after that it really began to slow down. So we got hold of Rigit because you could put 5, 6, 7 characters on screen at the same time pretty easily, and also the rigging process itself was super fast. So that was the first thing. Then we started debugging the interior of the code, so like the render engine, those sort of things. And I suppose where we're at now, we've now got Stepid and numerous other bits in there. We've got the real-time Ripper render preview engine, which obviously can be taken a lot further. Octane is obviously embedded in LightWave as standard, which was very, very good. So all of those things, when you buy LightWave now, you get everything, basically everything you need to create an animation from beginning to end. We've also spent quite a bit of time making compatibility happen with other packages. So the Unreal link is real time. So if you're animating in LightWave, what you see happening in LightWave is happening on the Unreal window at the same time. So that's cool. So that means Unreal people can utilize LightWave seamlessly. I mean, I would say, I don't know whether that's the case today, but certainly when we did it, I would say it was the best link. Maybe Houdini's also was exceptional. But but that was probably certainly up there with the very best available. And what we're doing right now is we're just completing links for Houdini, Maya, and Fusion. So LightWave's always played very nice with Fusion. Of course, it was one of the first packages that helped launch Fusion. So when I say Fusion, I mean what's the whole edit package?
Resolve. DaVinci Resolve.
DaVinci Resolve. So so obviously an LWA can go straight into there. We've done a lot of effort on the volumetric sort of space, being able to transfer into there as well, and so we can get stuff fairly nicely from Houdini into LightWave, or do it in LightWave and transfer it across to Fusion. So I would say now we're certainly by far the best value of the paid packages in terms of what we're giving as standard. It's got pretty much everything to cover most things built in. And the linking with the other packages is to, I think Deuce says it pretty much all the time. It's about trying to be the kid on the block that everybody likes to play with. You have a methodology of linking with all the other packages. We haven't done a specific one for Blender yet, but that is something that will be on the cards, is do a dedicated link for Blender. So at the moment, obviously, you've got Alembic and FBX and things, you can transfer stuff easily, but it would be nice to have a seamless link with that as well. And it's not, I suppose it's not about wanting people to move, but there are, if you're a small one-man studio, you're going to need to spend probably a couple of grand to get it to have everything that LightWave has in a standard. You might as well just buy LightWave because it's cheaper, and have that with your Blender or with your other package to utilize. If you remember many years ago when Digital Domain was doing right back at Terminator 2 and Titanic and those things, and I only learnt this recently. I kind of knew work was done with LightWave, but I didn't know how much. Well, it turns out that they did something called the Beaver Project, which everybody's probably heard of the Beaver Project at some point, and it was a link that went seamlessly between Maya and LightWave. And the reason they originally built it is because they used LightWave for all the rendering. And I didn't know that. It was all the rendering done on those big films was done in LightWave, right? And so they had a Maya department, LightWave department. I mean, the same with VTR. We had a Maya department, LightWave department. No one was ever shown the LightWave department. They'd always be shown the Maya department because we could charge more money, right? So it was, we literally had a Captain Kirk bridge noise effectively on our air. We had a double air door for the film room, and as you went in, it would go, and then you go into that space. That door would close, and the next door would open. Super cool. And and then hanging up on the walls was all film stock from the very latest films being produced and so on. And of course, that was the Maya department, and we'd have the old Onyxes and all those sort of things, in there and things. But actually, the department that did a lot of the work was LightWave's department, and it turned out that was exactly the same in LA. And so it was Hollywood's one of Hollywood's best kept secrets. I think everybody knew it was being used for television. They didn't know it was being used heavily on films across the board. And so part of the reason why we've resurrected the Beaver projects and why we're doing stuff with Houdini. Houdini's excellent, but it isn't an all-round package. It's not the best package to do the whole animation in. And if you've got LightWave with that, you are going to be able to use it with LightWave. So what's that? Is that a question?
Yeah, so David Glenn made a comment about LightWave was the first 3D program that he's ever owned. He got it at an anime convention in Dallas, Texas, and met LightWave team at that time. I think
I was at that show. That was Project Akon, AKON, Project Akon. That was held here in Dallas, and I do believe I remember that specific Akon where I was actually at a booth, showing off LightWave in the dealer's room. Oh my god! Oh geez.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's again something we'll start to do. We might try to do it this year. We might try to do SIGGRAPH, but we certainly will start doing shows again. And I think going down that route. Obviously the the next big thing for us is obviously we've done a lot of work with the tidying up the render engine. That's considerably better than it was when we bought it. And we've also tidied up stacks of code in there that was legacy code. And when I say legacy code, I mean when you're building a new version of the software, you have loads of testing paths, and each of those testing paths remain on, but you take them out when you're doing the finished build. And when we first got LightWave, we didn't know what half of that stuff was, so you don't take anything out. But it means that LightWave is slower because of it, because it's having to do more cycles, of passes on every render cycle, which are dead ends, but they're part of the beta process or the testing process when you're building, right? And we've now started getting rid of stacks of that stuff, and subsequently LightWave's getting faster again. It's getting quicker. It's sped up. I think what were we talking about on the render engine use, probably between a 20 and 50% speed increase if you use the anti-aliasing correctly with the
new reconstruction filters.
Filters, yeah. So that's considerably quicker. We're doing some things at the moment to speed up Octane as well. So we're doing a little bit of update over the next few weeks, hopefully for Octane. I don't know when that will be released, but we'll have that. And we're doing some updates on things like another few things we want to improve on StepIt, and this is normally, of course, when it's being controlled by the LightWave crew. I spill some news I'm not supposed to say, and they then bleep me out, right? So these are things where no one can stop me.
Someone had a question. They're asking whether or not you'll be at SIGGRAPH this year.
Yeah, I think we're trying to. It might just be too early, but we are going to try to. And it might be on another stand, someone else's stand, and we piggyback. But we are going to try to. I think it's just purely a time thing. But yeah, we'd like to be there, and me and Deuce would be there, and probably Joe and a couple others, and we'd be demoing and showing it and things. So. Yeah, I mean, with any luck, isn't that in Vancouver this year? Is it Vancouver, SIGGRAPH? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I have to look that up. I'll find out.
I don't even know. I've lost touch with the timing of SIGGRAPH. I don't even know when it is or where it is.
It's usually around July, kind of like, I think it's a little bit. It's after Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con. Usually in August, I believe.
Okay.
July.
Okay.
I'll look it up right now.
I'm reading over here that it is in Vancouver in August.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it's right.
So that, if we can possibly do it, we will. And how many people will have there, I'm not sure. I've had a little bit of a problem. I can't fly. I got a defibrillator fitted, and so no, it's simply the shock of buying LightWave made my heart fail. No, so no, it's all good, but it's whether I can actually get my I have to be cleared for flying. But yeah. So anyway, hopefully I'll be there. And Deuce, if we can possibly do it. No matter what happens, we'd have Deuce there, poor man, on his own. No, we won't. But it would be nice to be there.
Vancouver is beautiful. I mean, I've been in the past. I was speaking at SIGGRAPH, and actually I was at the very first SIGGRAPH at Vancouver.
Oh wow!
At SIGGRAPH, so I was there working with the Welcome team as well as with the SIGGRAPH convention.
Yeah. Yeah, so I haven't been to Canada for a long time, and I went there many years ago to try to get hold of distribution of a motion capture suit. That was. Do any of you remember there was a video called The Boxer, and it was a promo boxer for motion capture, and it was done with the next generation of suit, which was I can't even remember what it was. But it wasn't balls. It was the suit tracked the movement in space, 3D space, automatically. I mean, nowadays you don't even need a suit. But at the time, I think I went there to get that. They were in Canada, and I haven't been there for a very long time. But beautiful place, and the people are lovely. So, and they're of course going to be part of America. So, no, that's not happening, is it? So they're not going to be part of America, and and going down to swim in the Gulf of America.
Right.
What am I on? Right. Yeah, we've done our trade deal. We're fine. So yeah. So I mean, it's a really exciting time. I think we've got a massive amount to go, but our aim is to make LightWave a one-stop shop again. But we've got to do a lot of work on getting Modeler to be state of the art. It's a really good modeler, but it can't handle massive models fast enough, and we need to be able to do that. And we need a lot more CAD type tools built into LightWave, not relying on third parties. And there's a stack of things, and we've got a whole load of things we're doing right now. And
it's one of those things, that we try to communicate all the time. That I've been in this chair for LightWave for, God, can you believe it's almost been 25 years?
Yeah, a long time.
You've been doing that a long time. I remember the day you really gave me a scolding when I accidentally did a video using the beta of LightWave and didn't realize it. I did a scolding.
Nope. But the thing is that I've sat in this chair and watched so many people get into, the captain's seat and say, I know the direction that we need to take LightWave. I know what it needs to do. And I have watched every single one of them, given enough time, fly right into the wall and get replaced by someone else. This direction isn't working. We're not doing this. Isn't working right. So let me come back and okay. So which direction is this guy going to take it? The thing is that now I really want to emphasize that the people who are in the driver's seat are LightWave users. I mean, this isn't some other person who came in, with an idea or whatever. We're actually users of the software. We use it to do other projects. We use it to do side hustles. It's oh God, someone let Sean in.
Oh God, that's it. Oh, I'm going. No, sure.
Oh, that's actually really good. I've got Cascadeur. I haven't played with it recently, but that's actually good to know that it's working well in 2025. That's worth knowing.
We need to contact those guys. So with regards to digital clay and those sort of things, so one of the things we're currently have spent actually a few months sort of working on, and we've tried a couple of times unsuccessfully, but we're now almost done.
Yep. I know where you're going. I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
So what am I going to say, my friend? So no, it's well, I don't know whether I'm allowed to, because are we going to change the name a little bit?
I mean, it's one of those things. Let's just say that the potential for the name change is there. I mean, I kind of like the idea of changing the name because it's of Chronoscope.
It was Chronoscope. So we were thinking
about calling it Sea Sculpt.
Why?
Well, you know what?
Sounds cool, dude. Come on.
That's why. I think one of the things with Chronosculpt is probably it's still Chronosculpt. So I'm thinking though, on the marketing point of view, just simplify it to Sea Sculpt. So one of the problems with that program was it came out and had kind of a difficult birth because it was originally the aim was to try to get it included in LightWave and so on and so forth, but it was a whole slightly tangent code-based path which wasn't really designed purely for LightWave. It was designed to work with everything, right? And of course then what happens with the same stuff that happened for 20 odd years with LightWave, as they produce something, they don't bother developing it further on, right? So you end up with another thing which just sits there, nothing happens to it. So we've got obviously that program, and that was one of the programs where we had no idea. We didn't either have the coder, we didn't have anything to get it to work. Nothing.
Picture this, Steve. Picture this, Steve. Someone hands you a project, an animation project with assets and materials and scenes and everything, and says, here's this project from 20 years ago. We want you to update it and move forward and move it forward and make it do this, this, and this. And you have to open this up and say, well, now wait a minute. I don't see how this guy named his assets. I don't. His naming of his materials is crazy. Is this another language?
Well, in the case of Chronosculpt, it is another language. I mean, it's got an element of what's in current LightWave. So there were some things where obviously LightWave at one point, everybody was expecting that to be, rebirthed as almost a whole new program, which didn't work, as everybody knows. And but elements of that did go forward and are included in LightWave, and elements of that ended up being heavily in Chronosculpt, but aren't heavily in LightWave. So there are things there where we've had to go through and find remedies for that. But interestingly, as we've got more coders involved in LightWave, some of them have come on board and actually understand some of the code that's being now used is actually very relevant to that code, because at the time when that code was developed, it was state of the art, just wasn't mass market, right? And now it's actually being used heavily. So Chronosculpt now is, I would say, 95% ready to go. There's a few things we've just got to fix, but we also are thinking about how we're going to upgrade it. And so obviously originally it's got basic sculpting in there, but that could easily go on to do significantly more sculpting inside that. And of course the upside to that is it is designed to take in FBX and Alembic and play nice with every other package. So it isn't just about LightWave at that stage. That will work with Blender beautifully. It will work with Maya, Houdini, everything, right? So C-Sculpt, I think we probably will end up calling it something like that, and just simply to try to make it simpler for people to remember, and also get rid of the mindset of what happened the first time around where it wasn't developed, really. But I think C-Sculpt will we'll be able to take that significantly further forward, I think.
Sculptagon.
That's cool. I like Sculptagon.
Yeah, so we're gone. What do we do this time? We had on the last few rounds, we've had the it tool.
Oh yeah, the it toolkit. And of course, we have to call out Sean because he's here now.
Yeah, so Sean did Step It, and so originally it was just Step It, right? And then it became Double P, IT, and then we had Pick It, and then Hand It. So Sean is in charge of the it tools, and then we have someone else we were looking at something else. Dave's was it John had something which we were going to do. We were thinking of naming his set of tools. Anyway, it's academic. So a couple of things which also is changing. We're not just going to stick monotone. We will use color in those sort of things as well. So I think. Again, Sean decided to put sort of color envelope buttons in there, and I think actually there was actually uproar for a couple of days where people were saying this is not the LightWave way. Well, what is the LightWave way? Don't do anything for 10 years. I don't know. I mean, it's I don't think we're following that path anymore. So anyway, yeah, I think we're open to stack. I mean, if we're to make a next generation interface.
Right.
After we've got to fix everything first, right? So you've got to fix the core things, and then you've got to fix some very big things for the modeler, and then all of a sudden things start really getting good.
I so agree with you. That I run into too many LightWave users who want things the way it used to be. It's like, no, look at where the industry is going. So look at Blender alone. I mean, pay attention. Let's make this change and start upgrading the workflow to something that everybody is already using.
Yeah, I agree, and I think if you think of the Blender, the GeoNode system there, it's fantastic, and and I mean LightWave's one is getting there, but it is I would say that's probably one of the better ones around, and they've done it really, really well, and anyway, so I think we'll do that, but I think then gradually what we've got to do is change the interface, but take the audience with us. So you don't want to change the whole thing in one hit. You've got to basically start adding bits that are a new paradigm, but they're recognizable to a LightWave user, and gradually add paradigms in that become the next generation of interface, and then you can, then you're there. I mean, one of the things where I can't mention this yet. No, I won't mention this yet. I was going to go straight in, Deuce, to here we go. But one of the things we're about to do for sculpting is I would like to give you the ability to use your hands for sculpting. And so one of the things we're looking at is what's the best way of doing that would work for everybody in the community, and that will be something we'll be looking at. And certainly tool-wise, the current C Sculpt or Chronosculpt, if that's the name we use, because when we first get it out, that so everybody knows what it is, the first new version. I think when we start adding loads more tools to that, that's probably the time to maybe change the name. But it's got to be, I think, make that as, see if we can do a hands-on sculpture system or sculptural animation system would be very, very good, as well as the corrective ability of C Sculpt or Chronosculpt. So, yes, can I mention, Deuce?
Of course, you're going to say it out loud in order to ask if you can mention it.
Yeah.
I mean,
everybody just put your hands up your ears just for a few seconds. Just do this. Everybody do that. Okay. So I know we're working on really a first version of USD, I think, which hopefully will come at some time soon. But it's only going to be a hopefully a simplified version, but that will basically kickstart some bit more compatibility and ease of getting things in and out.
I will say this. I mean, there's several formats on my list of things that we should be looking at. I mean, we now have 18 different versions of FBX now, so we need to catch up there.
18 versions.
And I hear next year there's going to be another FBX version, so we need to get on that. But as I say, we're users. So one of the things that I'm tired of doing is doing some kind of line work or whatever in Illustrator and having to remember to save it out as a version 8 to be able to load it into LightWave. So, we're looking at, we're looking at things for SVG. We're looking at things, there's a raft of formats that we want to look into. USD is a hot one. USD is a hot one, and it's one of those things that we've got a member of our team who is actually part of the USD team to bring it to Maya.
Okay, now this is interesting. I want to talk about the USD format because very few people know about it. I've been speaking at the San Diego Comic-Con on the integration of Blender and LightWave. No, not LightWave. Blender and Unreal Engine. Mm-hmm. And one of the formats I've been using is the USD workflow. The USD workflow doesn't seem to be complete. I mean, it's nice, but it doesn't seem to be working 100%. I mean, like Andrew's agreeing with me.
Yeah. Do you know, actually, sorry, Deuce, I know we're both bursting, but first quick. Yeah. So one of the problems is with USD, it is vast, right? So actually, one of the things with FBX and Alembic is actually they are much bigger than most people have in their systems. So Alembic isn't. So let's imagine that's your program in this little quarter here. So, but actually, Alembic has the capability of doing that, right? So what happens is each program does that bit, that bit, that bit, and that's why you get so much incompatibility with Alembic and FBX across systems, because they're not all doing the whole thing. Now, one of the problems with USD is exactly the same problem. First of all, it is an all-encompassing format. So the idea of USD is it captures everything from your scene. Now, the problem with that is that all scenes are different. You've got, it's like the XYZ axis is different. There's the ones that work best for broadcast film and that. Then there's the engineering, use the XYZ in a Z in a different axis. So one of the things with the problem with things like USD is getting that to work across all packages is going to take time to do that. And it isn't in its infancy, but it is kind of in its infancy. In 5 years' time, 10 years' time, we'll all look back and USD will probably be the norm, and may well have replaced Alembic and FBX. But I think at the moment, our aim, I think, will be going simple with USD so that the bits that it's doing, it does really well, but don't try to do everything straight away, which I think is a mistake if you do that. And I think with you
have to start with the understanding of who would want to use it and why would they want to use it. And primarily that comes down to the overarching part of any scene asset thing. That would be the geometry, the location of the lights, what kind of lights they are, the location of the camera, what the camera setting is for, because every package is going to surface things differently unless it's UV and image maps. If it's any kind of procedural, that just goes out the window because everyone does things procedurally different. So you're going to have to either have an additional toolkit for baking,
right?
In order to take, here's all my procedurals and everything is great and everything is wonderful. So now I want to take it through USD to somewhere else. Well, I've got all this procedural stuff. How do I get that out? I'm going to have to bake it. I'm going to have to do everything to UV. I'm going to have to everything to image maps and this, that, and the other. And then, of course, it's, well, are they 2K, 4K, 8K, 16K? What kind of image maps are we talking about? What kind of sizes are we talking about? And everything. So really, the start is let's get geometry, let's get location, positions, things of this nature.
Or do a USD format that just automatically bakes on the fly, and then you just give a checkbox 2K, 4K, 8K.
Right. Well, that would be the goal. That would be the dream. The dream is, I'm wanting to take this out. Great. You got some decisions to make. Do we want to bake all of our keyframes? Because now we're dealing with IK, FK, this, that, and the other. So we're going to have to bake everything down to individual keyframes, or do you feel comfortable enough bringing in just the main keyframes and you mess with the tweens and everything in your other package wherever you're going to? There's going to be, there has to be caveats because, heck, we get that even just taking geometry from one package to another. Anyone here who works with CAD files, let's raise our hand and say, how do we deal with bringing stuff from SolidWorks into anything?
All right.
How do we do it? Do we do it SolidWorks? Do we do it STL? Do we do it OBJ? Do we do it STEP?
Yeah. So we go into. I do obviously Cummins. You both know. Obviously Deuce knows Cummins. Stephen, you know Cummins is one of the biggest engine manufacturers in the world, American company, and we do the probably about 90% of the Cummins visualization. So I'm always doing engines all the time. So they come in as step files. We take them into Rhino. We do a lot of the cleanup in Rhino, and then output those sometimes into Blender, sometimes into Maya, sometimes variable, but always ends up coming into LightWave for animation, texturing, lighting, and rendering. And so it kind of. But again, the only reason that can't go into LightWave at the moment is, if you're talking a huge engine, LightWave's modeler is good at some big geometry, but it won't handle massive geometry well. And so that's we've got to fix that. Anyway, so get on the format thing. Actually, one of the things with Alembic and FBX for us is to try to get one FBX that does it better than the two currently, right?
Right.
One Lembic that's done right, to get that, that is a priority for us, and we will do that. And I think
it's one of those things too that even with FBX, we get into the issues of, not everyone is fully versed in what all is in an FBX file.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of stuff in an FBX file. And you've got options too that when you bring it in, because again, you're somewhat at the mercy of who created the original file that this FBX was created from.
Right.
And this guy named everything Surface.
Surface 1.
So now I've got Surface 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way through Surface 1500, or could I try to maybe have it where, this all seems to be in groups, so maybe I could do different groups as different surfaces. There's a bunch of different things that, and yes, FBX can now embed textures, and I use that quite often, as a matter of fact. But it is one of those things that, again, it's, it has to be UV'd, it has to be, this, that, and the other. But there's just, and two, just having the option of, if your importer looks at it and says, gee, I have an awful lot of things called cylinder. Should those be instances? Or should those be individual meshes? There's a lot to it.
Doing robotic engineering stuff. So, it's interesting. I think,
and of course, I always laugh because I always think about that XKCD cartoon that says, okay, so what we need to do, what we just need to do is we need to create a universal format that everyone can use that translates everything from everything and can go back and forth. Great. Now we've got 17 universal formats for everything to use.
Yeah. Well, Orbix is a universal 4-octane format.
Right.
And again, excellent, but it is, again, another proprietary system. Isn't Brad Peebler? I think Brad is in charge of USD. So Brad is... he's USD representative on Earth, I think, is Brad.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
Yeah. And he's a good guy. I mean, he's a good marketer and so on. So Brad's out there trying to get people to sign up.
John says about Max files. Yeah, I have. On that question, every Max importer I have ever dealt with, you have to have Max on your system. You have to have Max on your system.
Right.
Is Blender doing the same thing?
No.
It's firing off, 3D Studio Max, or is it now actually reading? Because I always understood Max files to essentially be steps for Max to use to create the thing.
Right.
It's not real geometry in the files.
I understand the Blender one is standalone, but I'm not sure it's included as standard, isn't it? An add-on. I'm not sure. Maybe I got that wrong. But I think I don't think it needs to have Max on the machine, which would be. That's a good thing. That would be the first.
That's a first. I've never heard of a Max importer that didn't need Max.
Yeah, so it was that way in the old days. All the time, you had to have Max.
Yeah, I mean, really, we need to find someone, and we need to do a dedicated. It's stupid, really. We should have a dedicated link to Blender, because it would then be the best of both worlds. Really, it would be worth getting one done. I don't know whether it's something we need to hunt out.
Well, there used to be a LightWave importer for Blender. Someone made it back in the day, and then Blender updated over time, and the developer just stopped doing it.
I personally know that developer.
Okay, well, hey, I would say you guys just do it.
It is one of the problems when you don't have. One of the problems with plugins is some plugins work great. Some plugins don't always work with other plugins. One of the problems with the free-for-all approach to it is a lack of necessarily guided complete structure. It would be very good if you had a stable thing to do a scene transfer from, where it wasn't constantly changing, because that would then enable you to make it for, we could do a translator to be able to make it work with everything. It'd be great to do something like that. But certainly for LightWave, I think LightWave with Blender seems to be a kind of could be a perfect thing if it was worked on a little bit. It could be a great thing, and
because
something I haven't had time to think about. But
but currently we have to export the FBX from LightWave and then bring it into Blender, which actually works very, very well.
That's the way I work with it.
Yeah.
I have a particular client that he only works in Blender, and so anytime I need to do something for him, my initial setup and everything I do in LightWave, and then bring it into Blender through FBX, and it works great.
Yeah.
Craig he does not. Okay, well, there's a sticky thing there. Does he work with our team? Yes, but he's not on the team. He did sell us Rigit. We got Rigit from him. However, he will answer our emails and answer questions about this, that, and the other.
I mean, Craig, I think I won't say what the scenario is, but we would love to have had Craig with us full time, but Craig's unable to do that, which is completely okay. But we have a great relationship with him, and it's simply a question, I think, of there's a few things there. If we get a chance, and Craig will hopefully get the time, we would like to get his face rig, which was unfinished, but we'd like to complete that. And there are things we want to do. We already update his code. I think we did some updates to that when we first got it, and certainly the whole idea of step it, rig it, and step it, pick it, and hand it are direct add-ons to take rig it much further, and they work really well. I mean, the step it program is fantastic, and it's what we've just added to that. Actually, again, secret, and I promise Sean I won't let this out of the bag, but he's done. No, he's so one of the things which a piece of software should never be finished, should it? There's always going to be some new feature, something else you should add. So he created this brilliant thing, Step It, which does a walk cycle that you can get really good characterization in. It's good. So, but one of the things we hadn't done was toe and heel adjustment. So I've been looking at it today, several times today. It's being worked on right now, and he's done the most beautiful, simple interface for that enables you just to call up a little window with some curves on it. It's all adjustable real time, and it just then follows that through the animation. We're doing toe and heel adjustment on, for foot placement, which just makes the walk cycle even better. And that will be, we're aiming to do that on other parts of the body as well, hopefully arms and so on. So it's fantastic.
It was one of those things that a lot of people, had made the comment about Step It, and they had said, well, it looks robotic. All the walk cycles look the same. The this, that, and the other, and it's hard for people to grasp the concept sometimes that it's not meant as the final.
No.
It's meant to be a tool that gets you 80. It does the heavy lifting. It does the difficult part for you automatically, to allow you then as the artist to give it life, to give it character, to give it, to give it that subtlety of acting, that nuance that, that you as the creator bring to it. And bringing in that control for the heel toe, the reverse foot control is just easily one of those little controls, those little overlays that help bring that together, help bring it even further.
Every time I've demoed it, and obviously we have limited time whenever we're showing that stuff, and we show it and we just put it together and we adjust it on the fly in real time, done. And you're basically creating a walk cycle. Let's say I don't know, a 5-second walk cycle in a few minutes. Basically, you're done, right? And it's adjustable, so it doesn't bake out. It's keyframing out. So one of the things there is that you're able to go and adjust every keyframe. You can delete keyframes. You can change the footprints where they're landing. All of it is fully adjustable, and there's nothing. What's robotic about it, I suppose, is that it's doing every step uniformly away along that path. Actually, one of the things Sean is thinking of adding in is a fractal adjustment for that, so that you get noise, so that you can then ramp that up. So there's a slight variation in the walk cycle. But actually, when you look at someone walk, bar if they're avoiding something, then there's not it is uniform. That's what a walk cycle is.
It also depends on how drunk they are.
Really bad. Yeah, it's anyway. I do think that ironically, I was using it just before this, but because we're just starting to test new things on it. But it's super good. I mean, why we designed it? When you're doing TV production, most of the work that you really want to have the time spent on is the acting, is the close-up, is the speech, it's the acting part, right? What you don't want to spend time on is having a walk cycle where characters are walking in the background or walking up to camera. You want that to be created as fast as you possibly can do it, right? So part of the reason why we did this system, because it literally is a couple of minutes work and you've done it, right, is to create your system. You can save the way it's doing its character animation, so you're effectively saving its acting, if you like, and you can save that as a style. But we wanted it to speed up production considerably. So most walk cycles take the best part of 4 or 5 hours to do, and if you're talking about multiple of those in a day, you're talking maybe 100 hours, 150 hours, man hours a week, that you should be able to get down to an hour. Well, 150 man hours down to 1 hour is considerable in terms of budget that could be better spent on creating the acting, a bit more time on the texturing, a bit more time on the directing, some more redos you can now afford to do that you couldn't do before. Now, the thing that makes a great TV show as opposed to a crap TV show is the amount of budget spent on the refining the animation. So if you can find ways of speeding up the process in order to make that part where you can put the effort, then your show is going to look better. It's going to stand out more. It's going to stand the test of time better. So that step it tool, that's what it's for. It's there to basically enable you to put the money where it's needed on the screen and not waste it on things that are relatively easy to automate, right? And I think it does that exceptionally well. So I mean, we've obviously been running those little sugar cube animations out, and we normally do those in a no more than half a day for the actual animation. We're spending maybe half a day max on the character animation. Everything else is just is then putting that together to make them look nice. And we probably spend a week on each one of those promos, max again, including render time. So we're pumping them out using the very things that we are saying you should be using for a TV show. And again, that's part of the reason we want this to play nice with as many packages as possible. If we could get someone in Blender outputting their stuff or taking their character animation stuff and outputting that faster, suddenly you're cutting a huge cost implication for your character animation for Blender, right? And then of course, the general animation interface in LightWave, I think, is super fast anyway. But anyway, it's yes. I mean, I think that's our main emphasis. It's making the animator's life easier, and where we can possibly automate something, we will. So to make it simpler for the animator to get something done,
right?
Basically, give them an advantage over other packages, really.
This question that's up from Shield. Tony
IFW.
Tony Shields. Yeah. Hey, Tony. I just put that together, Lord. He's talking about IFW2. That's Richard Jennings. I've talked with Richard. It's been a bit. I should rekindle that again because it's been.
It's a good idea.
He was the last time I talked to Richard. There was something that he had currently working that he couldn't put in the time, but he was going to look into it. And I should rekindle that. I should fire that email back up again.
And I have to say, with a lot of those people, we have been helping people get those things done. So that's a very good idea. I forget. I mean, we all used to use their textures all the time, so we should try to get that done.
It's one of those things. I mean, it's like I just on Monday this week just found out that and of course the name goes right out of my head. One of the plugin was updated to work with 2025. I got it I helped get it working with 24, and that was the material. Well, shoot, I'm drawing an absolute blank on the. But yes, as a matter of fact, too, HDR Light Studio. We got we found the issue, worked with them, and that now works back again with everything across the board, VPR, Octane, complete. But it's this cloth simulation that I am absolutely drawing a blank on. Hang on. I hate that.
Don't you hate that when that happens?
Too many plugins. Cyflex. There we go. Yes, Cyflex.
Cloth. Yeah.
Sean to the rescue again.
Yeah, well done. Yeah. Cyflex is excellent, actually.
Yeah.
Again, we need.
They told me on Monday. They were like, "Let everyone know, works in 2025." So it's been a remarkable thing, honestly. That like I say, I've been in this chair for a number of years, longer than I really want to admit. Good God! And there were a number of companies that I had tried, even at the time, while it was new tech, to get some sort of a back and forth, some sort of a collaboration. It's like, hey, what can we do this? Can we do this? And they never went anywhere. And here in these last 2 years that it's been LightWave Digital, all these companies have been coming to us, and they've been remembering. It's like, oh yeah, Deuce, I remember you 20 years ago. We talked about something that was like this, and it's like, yeah, you still want to do that? And it's like, whoa, I didn't have to call you. I mean, they're coming to us and things. We're talking with, a number of companies that, that is going to be so good for.
Send the 4D plugin people. I won't say who.
Yeah,
we've had a batch of them. We've had, just stacks and stacks of people wanting to.
And Andy, you and I got to get our cloaks, pressed, because we're the rendering council is having their meeting, and we've been invited to the rendering council. So I mean, we're talking like Tom Cruise, eyes wide shut masks and cloaks things. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be totally a shadow council thing.
Naked underneath, not a pretty thing. So
So
with regards to Victor, we have chatted with Victor, but Victor's doing some other bits and bobs. But he's actually helped us quite a bit. He's got something. We're trying to do something for him now for future compatibility, but he's giving us something which will be a massive benefit to LightWave at some point in the future.
So what we can say here is, yes, we are. I talk to Victor quite often, and we're doing some things with their helping him. He's helping us. So it's not like he's completely. But
that's
oh my gosh, he did it. So I see here a long time ago, a plugin called LightWave Connect allowed you to send footage from SpeedEdit to Avid to LightWave for advanced layering effects. Is anything like that still around? Well, I mean, I don't know if you were in the meeting when we were discussing it, but we've been working quite closely with some guys to get quite literally this type of functionality with Resolve. With Resolve and Fusion and the like. So we're not talking about things from SpeedEdit and Avid, but we're talking about working with Resolve.
Resolve, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I certainly think we can also do some updating for the link with Photoshop and After Effects and things. So as well at that point.
Oh,
but I think the Fusion one is mega important to us.
And I want to call out something while we're talking about Resolve and this, that, and the other. We've started seeing it. And I've actually started getting the emails about it. And that is, guys, you're probably like me, and you love the computer that you're sitting in front of, and it's been your computer, and it's been your friend, and it's been, a good 15 years that you've had that system. And I'm going to tell you, you need to start looking at upgrading your hardware, because we're doing things that are starting to find those users that have been using a computer that's little long in the tooth, as we might say.
We've got to, in order to get the maximum speed, we've got to go for relatively modern PCs. I think when we're looking back at I think it was 10 years was where we start the problem. It's further back. A 10-year-old PC doesn't have the instruction set capability and all the speed of transfer that would enable us to do the things we want to do.
But it's seriously, it's one of those things too, that it's like, okay, Ripper is the one thing where we've really hit it with some users, because Ripper has some specific requirements and some specific needs. Number one, first and foremost, the LightWave itself has to communicate with Ripper, communicate with the video card through an interface. It has to be able to get the instructions to go from here to there and everything like this. That comes from the CPU. So the CPU needs to have a particular instruction set. So that instruction set is what needs to communicate to the video card. The video card then needs to be of a given version. It needs to be of, let's talk, recent. And then on top of that, because we're using Optics 8.1, you have to have a particular driver version. You have to have driver 550 or higher. So I've found it to be kind of humorous in its own way, where I'll get an email from someone that says, Ripper's not working on my system. And it's like, okay, tell me about your video card. And they'll say, well, my video card is this. It's like, okay, ooh, that's the 1050. That's right on the edge. Tell me what kind of tell me what kind of driver you're running. Oh, you're not running the right driver. Oh, wait a minute. What's your CPU? Yeah, it's a Xeon from 1997. It's like,
oh
okay,
my God.
Here's the thing. I understand people who want to upgrade their video card because they see Octane, they see the video games and this, that, and the other. Ooh, I got to have the best video card. And they neglect the other part and the whole of the rest of their computer. And by that same token, I see the same other thing. I see these people who's like, yeah, I've got an i9, 14,000, it's 96 gig of memory, everything like this. So why is Ripper not working? Well, what kind of video card do you have? Well, I've got a GTX 900. Dude, why did you spend, $5,000 on your computer and $50 on your video card?
It's like the Photoshop student I had that's complaining that why Adobe doesn't allow them to load the newest version of Photoshop on their computer. And ask them, what's operating system you're using? Oh, Windows 97.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Wow. It's in the name, isn't it? It's the remarkable thing is, I mean, graphic cards. We've had most of the high-end cards have been at 12 and around 12 gigs or 24 gigs for the last few years, right? And we now get up to 32 gigs, and then they now have launched a 96 gigabyte one, which, needless to say, you'd have to sell family members to buy it. But but those family members, yeah. Yeah, but those cards, it's only getting better, because obviously the Mac has unified RAM, which is one of the upsides to the Mac side, is that if you've got a 64 gig or 128 gigs in a Mac, you can use almost all of that memory for graphics memory if you want to. So not that you have a choice, it does it for you, but it will utilize the whole memory base. One of the things with the PC, of course, is the graphic card has to have more memory. So if you're an Octane user or doing GPU rendering, and you're doing bigger scenes, which if you're doing TV, film, engineering, that kind of stuff, you need to have really up at the 24 gigabyte cards or the new 32 gigabyte cards, right? So it is one of those things that is getting.
People complain about how expensive the cards are, and I always tell them, say, don't buy the cards. Go buy a whole new computer for just under $2,000, and you get the card in it.
True. You get a better deal that way on the card and machine. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I will call out, DJ Sharpcut there. Yes, LightWave works on the Mac, and we're actually quite proud of the way we currently have the support for the Mac, being one installer that has Rosetta as well as ARM. You pick and choose, because currently it's one of those things that even though in 25 we are working, I mean, you got to understand too that Python is, currently everything has been Python 2. Python 2 is dead. Python 2 has passed its end of life. So the thing about it is that instead of just, dropping down a gate that says, okay, well, no more Python, we're giving the users a year to do a switch over. Our current 25 uses or has in it Python 2 as well as Python 3. So you make a user choice as far as which one you want. And it's that same token that you have that with the Mac, because certain aspects doesn't have, not everything is ARM compatible, but it's still Rosetta compatible. So you have that option. You can turn it on, turn it off, switch over however you want to use. Because we're in that transition phase. We're definitely in a transitioning, thing. And I will tell you now that, okay, we hit this with Ripper, and we've made some adjustments, and we've made some things where, okay, AVX is the lowest that we could go to still have the communication between CPU and GPU. Look, we're still running Optics 8.1. That's still running the 550 drivers, because NVIDIA, with their 50X cards, came out with the drivers of the 570s, and everything's been black screening and melting cables and failing.
Nothing to do with us, of course.
Nothing to do with us, but it's one of those things that whole thing has said, look, we can't, no one wants to upgrade to those drivers because they don't want to be in the middle of working on their card and have everything go black. Even though they don't have a 50X card, they're scared about it being on their 40X cards. Yeah. So until that whole thing comes, smooths out, we've got to be in a period of adjustment. But it is one of those things that, we're going to be making more hard line, things with, you're going to have a system that is able to deal with, AVX2, AVX512, some of these higher level instruction sets. We're going to be, you're going to have to get out of your Intel Mac. You're going to have to start using ARM,
What about Linux?
Now,
Linux
is a unique thing. I mean, I will say it's not off the table, but it is one of those things too that, well, everyone who has tried anything with Linux on has hit the one main thing, and it's currently that Linux and the anti-theft, the licensing, doesn't get along. That's really the main kick. We're looking at what we can do differently for our licensing, and when we do that, that might be that one trip, that one final block that then makes Linux a no-brainer. But it's one of those things that there's so much to think about with that, because you have to think about all the third-party people. We've maintained such a level of backwards compatibility that I think is practically unheard of in the software industry, in that I can still, for most, I can still use plugins that were written for, LightWave 5.
Right.
That's nuts. How is that even? I mean, that's crazy. Are you kidding me? So it's one of those things that we've got to protect that. We've got to protect the third party. And if we do anything that says, okay, look, this is all wonderful, great, and it all works, but now all of the third party guys are kneecapped, that's not going to go over all that well. So Linux is a deeper dive than just, let's set a couple of flags and generate a Linux build, because we tried that. We did that. LightWave 8 had a ScreamerNet component that was 100% Linux, total Linux. 5 people downloaded it.
It's one of the things you've got to remember. I think
and LScript too. I will go ahead and say, since it's up here big and bold, LScript is not being developed. Python is the way. What we have looked into is what kind of potential can we do something of a, how do we move, or how can we provide tools that might translate, what with AI and, ChatGPT, Claude, and all these other tools, bring some level of, this is an old L script, let's convert it to Python. But who knows? That's kind of up in the air. But I will say that L script, it's not being removed, but it's also not being updated.
Can I just mention a couple of quickies on the Mac, which we probably don't make enough of, but obviously LightWave for a long time under Rosetta had really been kind of a halfway house, right? It worked great, fantastic. When we did our first build of the Mac, that was entirely native. So it is designed for the M processor. It is super slick and fast on there. And so the Mac version is probably the best version on a Mac we've ever had now, right? So I just sort of mention that for those people who are on the Mac side. Another important thing to remember, though, we cannot now develop them in parity. So obviously Apple has gone down one path for its graphics, which is the unified memory and built into the chip and so on. And then, of course, the PC is very much you go down a NVIDIA or whatever you want to go down in terms of the graphic card. And it's a very, very different thing you're optimizing for. So we won't necessarily be running those completely in parallel. So the Mac one might have some things that end up being developed that aren't available for PC, and the PC version will end up with stuff that's not necessarily compatible with the Mac. So, I just thought I'd mention that as an out-and-out thing to sort of mention. But certainly the Mac current one is excellent. And we do actually have a version of Octane that works on there that works pretty well and is very optimized for the M processor. So obviously not as fast as an NVIDIA, big NVIDIA card, but it's still very fast. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, a lot of Mac users have really commented on how wonderful the current Mac versions are.
Oh, good.
Yeah, way better than they used to be, I think. And yeah, I'm very proud of what Dave did on that. He did a fantastic job, I think.
So we're at that time where we do a 15-minute break.
Cool.
Love it.
All right. Exactly. You get into this. So,
I just drank this whole thing, and I was hoping
when you get to go to the bathroom. All right, so I'm going to play a commercial from our official sponsor, Lamont's Barbecue, and then we're going to bring up the 15-minute timer. Thank you. You guys are excellent. So sit tight. We'll come back in 15 and continue on.
Cool.
15.
Over 150 years ago, in a plantation kitchen near Jackson, Tennessee, Lucinda Macklin, the head cook.
Hours long is this?
You're probably not seeing it, so let me. Oh, I know what it is. Silly me. Let's do this again.
Masterpieces of Southern cooking every day. With her culinary creativity and her knowledge of certain secrets of food preparation, Lucinda made her very own special sauces. She developed a variety of marinades and sauces full of diverse herbs, spices, and a whole lot of love. The thick and tangy barbecue sauce she made was so rich, it was poured into jars rather than bottles. Soon, Lucinda's delicious, authentic sauces became known all across the South. Lucinda Macklin was wise enough to realize that her gift for cooking wasn't truly a gift until it was given. So she passed her many recipes on to her daughter, Osabel, and Osabel imparted her knowledge to her daughter, Thelma. Thelma kept the tradition alive by passing those precious gifts to her son, Lamont Burns, and Lamont is still passing it on and on and on.
I'm Lamont Burns, inviting you to enjoy my great-grandmother Lucinda's recipes in every jar of the Lamont's authentic Southern marinade and barbecue sauce. You spend good money on meats, but you're probably not getting that good down-home flavor. Marinate your meat in Lamont's marinade. It puts the flavor from the skin to the bone, long before you ever cook it. Then add the Lamont's authentic Southern barbecue sauce, and I tell you, you got some good eating.
I don't know if this broadcasts, but Carm 3D, I had to look at that page. Do you have any other information on your game? I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I'm going to go silent. I'm just going to play the guitar for a few minutes. I'll be back in.
Send them to me. You can probably find my email. It might be an interesting little bit of marketing thing. I'd love to see some actual gameplay.
All right, I am trying a new setup here. I think this will allow me to record longer videos with audio from the game. Let's try it out. All right, I've been making a lot of settings. Also, there's a there's a feature where
I'll say this, Carmen, it's an interesting game. I was about to say, it reminded me of a calculator game, but I couldn't remember if that was a real thing or not, if it was a Mandela effect or what. Wow. Karma, are you aiming this at like a mobile game? What would be the platform? 1 minute. Look out.
All right, we are back. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, great, great, great. We got a nice, good-sized group here. And let's see, TikTok, TikTok. Yep, they're like saying, "Let's get the show on the road." All right, so okay, so where do we go from here?
I tell you what, you guys. I mean, I don't know whether it's possible, but Deuce could show the new cell system, the new cell shade system. And part of the reason why that is there's such a good. I could show Step It if you want me to show Step It. Deuce could show probably the cell shade system, and maybe actually the supernormals. I think whilst people don't necessarily, it's not the most glamorous thing to look at, but the supernormals is also very cool. And I don't know, what do you fancy? And I don't know how to share my desktop.
Well, yeah, go on, in StreamYard on the bottom. You'll see a present button.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then make sure that you share your entire screen. It'll give you an option.
Okay.
I want to say that I thought that said present, and I clicked the heck out of it, wanting a present. It didn't give me anything.
No, there'll be no presents here, Deuce.
Yeah.
This is a LightWave meeting. No presents here.
So do you guys want me to show very quickly? If I do, I just step it just so everybody can see the basic principle of how that.
All right.
works.
So go ahead. Did you share your screen?
I'll do it now. So let's.
I'll say go ahead and share your screen.
Let's go.
It'll pop up with an icon on my end. Then I can add you to the stage.
So there we go. There's
wait a minute. When did Andrew mention particle effects 2?
Did I? I don't think I did.
Oh, I'm sure he did somewhere. I mean, you just weren't listening.
So we do entire screen. How about that?
Entire screen. That's right.
Is that working? So is that?
Not yet. I'm still waiting for you.
Oh, so I've got share, but nothing's actually happening. Share system audio. I don't think I need the.
Are you in a Mac or a PC?
On the PC.
Okay, then it shouldn't be a problem. Are you, the browser that you're in is what?
Oh, there we go.
You got it? There it is. I see it. Andrew Bishop, adding you to stage. Okay, before presenting the screen, I got to remove my other screen. I'm sorry. Hold on a minute. I forgot.
I'll go ahead and make comment on particle effects 2. It is something that's in the works. There's nothing really ready to show or to say. Just know that we're working on many of 100 different things, and some things might be closer than others to view. When there's information, it will be shared.
Okay, give me a hot second. I'm having a problem. It says before presenting screen, remove other media. Oh, I guess I've got other media.
I've got to remove mine, right?
Yeah, let's
I'll stop it.
Yeah, stop it, and then let me go add him. I'm still getting that error message. This is odd. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Oh, is that still sharing? Remove. There we go. It's not you. It was me. Well, now I'm adding Andrew Bishop. There he is. We can see his full screen now.
See the little character?
I sure do.
Okay. All right. So I'll give a quick run through what this is. So this is something that's already been rigged in Rigit. So basically this is the bog standard rig in Rigit, also using the weight brush tool. So normally to do this kind of thing, I think from beginning to end, it's probably an hour's work, including the full rig. Okay. So so what does Sean just send?
I don't know. He sent you some image.
Okay. Let me just before I
full screen. Oh, he wants you to share the image full screen. No.
Oh, it is full screen at my end.
Yes, it is. It's full screen
yeah.
in your end.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is add a floor. Okay. So we're going to add a ground plane. In order for Step It to work, it does need to have a segmented ground plane. So I've got this segmented into 50 by 50. It's just a 10 by 10 grid. Okay. So it basically, if you did this as one poly, the Step It wouldn't work. So you just need to have it subdivided. It doesn't need to be 50 by 50. I think it would work just as fine, just as well with 10 by 10. So so just to show you the core principle of this, we've got our character here. If I click on Rig It and then go Step It, we've got three sets of tools. There's Step It, Hand It, and we've got Pick It. And basically, the Hand It controls the hands. So actually, I'll just quickly show that. So if I just click on, what should I do? Right all. So you can see basically that's adjusting everything, although you've got full finger control. Anyway, so basically the Hand It is for the hands and gives you the ability to envelope and adjust those and keyframe those, etc. So this is not a baking tool. This is making something that can be fully edited after the event. Okay, so if I look from the top down view, I've got my character there. What I want to do is create a path for where I'm going to want it to walk. So if I drag that out to 120 frames and just drag that down to the end, let's go back to 60 and at, whoops, just drag that there, let's go to 60, drag that out to the side. So now we've got a basic, a very simple path. Actually, the problem I've got is the sharing button was right over what I need to click on. But anyway, so basically that's our core path. And about here, what I want to do is then animate this so it's following the path. So I'm going to go to rotate and I'm just going to drag that so it follows the path. Let's go to frame 60. Turn that around. I probably need to do something about there, make sure it's on the path, and then there, rotate that around. Okay, so that's our basic path. Now, just to have a look at that, okay. So basically, what we've got now is a basic camera move, but no animation. So you can see the legs aren't animated; it's just flying off. So what I want to do now is just quickly take the camera and animate the camera down that path. So I'm going to move the. Actually, let's just drag the camera back. So we'll have the camera end up here somewhere, and then at frame 60, move it so it's. Over there and rotate. So there we go. So that's our basic camera path and walk path. All right, nothing special, just something just to give us a basic idea of what we want to do. So what I now need to do in Step It to make this work, I need to first of all get the floor. So if I just type in ground, I'm going to go new ground plane. That's now going to recognize that we've done our basic movement. So what I now need to do is just click on this one button here and go raycast. And what that will do is do the footprints, and then I go for walk, or in this case, this down the bottom here, by the way, changes every single time. So it's go for a walk, but effectively the name of it changes each time you kickstart it. So effectively what we've got here is a basic walk done in just a few seconds. Okay, so obviously that's a bit, the steps are a bit too close together, and there's a few things that we want to alter. So if I just do a few adjustments to this, so I'm going to do longer step stride. So let's do 320 on the foot on that. I want the so body sway. Let's go hip sway up a little bit. There, drag that back a little bit. I'm going to go the foot, sort of make that go on, put the toes down a bit more rapidly, and go for actually I've done, so you don't need to do re-ray casting unless you change the stride length. So let's just quickly just redo that. Okay, and now go for a walk. Okay, so now we've done, there we go, a much better walk cycle. It's not the best in the world, but you can see very quickly that's just, we've done that in seconds. So the other really cool thing with this, which is nice, is if we want to adjust one of the footsteps, we can click on these and just adjust them. So we could move that slightly out to the left there, move that one maybe more out to the right. So if we were avoiding a specific object, everything is adjustable at every point throughout this. So you can go in and animate the arms separately if you wanted to. So let's just go to pick it. Let's just do a bit of that. Let's go pick it. Let's take the arm. So what I'm going to do here is I'm not worried about changing the arm to say there, but at 40, I want to have the arm raise up. So let's target. There we go. Right, so I want to just quickly rotate that so it's a little, so it's sort of up higher. Oops. There we go. So let's raise that arm up like that. I want to keep that like that for 65, and then I want to take the arm back down to its original position at 75. So let's go 75, and so now our arm is raised and then goes back to normal, and all of that is adjustable as on the fly, right? So you can add other pieces. Okay, I've gone through the body, but never mind. Let's just drag that out a little bit. Take that a little bit. Oops. There we go. And whoop. Yeah, okay, I'm still going through on that bit, but you get the basic principle. It basically means that everything is actually adjustable as you animate it in here and completely editable. So there's nothing you can't go in and add more characterization to. And once you've done that walk cycle, you can then save that as a preset up here. So you go add new preset. There's the preset name, name it whatever you want to name it. And basically that will save. And then you can load that in when that character has to do another walk cycle. It will already have all the settings from this that you've done on here transferred across to the next setup. And what we're about to add in the next month or so, we'll be adding the toe roll and the heel control, which will just add even more to that. And again, all of that's just going to be an extra tab up here that enables you to click on that and then have access to that. Another thing, obviously, with Picket, we can just click on any of the joints. Just makes it quicker to access them than trying to find the actual joint to click on. And that includes for the feet, every component part you can sort of adjust. And if you have a second character, I don't here, then obviously this here then gives you access to the second, third, fourth and fifth characters as well. So again, actually, if I click on here, we can see the keyframes of the original keyframes that are in the way of the animation we've just done. So let me just delete those. And so, okay, delete that one. Yeah, so there we go. So now that's moving up, and the arm stays up and then goes back down and doesn't get affected now by the original keyframes generated by StepIt. So again, you've got all the channels here for controlling what you're keyframing. So you've got your step it keyframes, you've got then your over keyframes where you'll do your keyframe over the top, or here again you can use that as effectively 2 channels of keyframing plus step it. Or if you've got motion capture, you'll bring the motion capture in on the controls menu. So effectively, it gives you a multi-layered character animation, fully editable and fully adjustable on the fly. There we go. Very quick demo of that. Have you all gone to sleep?
What was that? Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. You back?
Perfectly. I thought you asked a question.
Oh no, I'm done. I'm just done. I just wanted to.
Okay, great, fantastic.
Yeah, just a quick overview of how step it works and how fast it is. So again, what I was trying to point out there with the individual channel control is that it means that step it is literally just giving you 80% of the work done in seconds. You then can go and adjust every aspect of that, and that includes moving keyframes, adjusting the step it keys, everything. So most of those systems bake the animation. Step it doesn't. It is keyframing the animation like you would keyframe it. So everything in there is adjustable in the normal way. Tension, continuity, and bias, moving the keyframes a little bit so they're slightly, adjusting when he puts his foot down or arm up and so on. And also you've got animation layer over and above your original animation layer, and it keeps it separate. So your original step it keyframes are all there in one channel, your overview is on another channel, and anything else you want to add effectively with the control set is also fully adjustable. Yeah, so that's version 1, and I think we're aiming to get version 1.5 out in the next month or so. So
it bears making mention that, I mean, most people assume that it's a bake, that you do this and you bake it and you hope, no, this isn't baking. It's laying down keyframes like you would lay down keyframes, and then you can adjust them after the fact. I mean, that's really, really nice.
It is. It's designed by an animator for animation. So I mean, Sean's the one who created this, and it came from a chat we was having about, wouldn't it be nice if we could automate one of the things that take up so much time when you're doing character animation, and so Sean really put that together in a very relatively short period of time last year, and we're now working on 2. We're going to do a quadruped version. So every time I say that, Sean has a mild coronary, but we're going to be doing a quadruped, and then we'll add more. If we need to have other methods that are demand enough, we'll try to do those too. But I think the primary thing, if we can get a quadruped and the biped, I mean the biped's done, but I think it's going to make life so much easier for people. And that's again an example of a plugin that you're not having to buy as a third-party plugin. It's built in as standard, and it's being developed and will continue to be developed as we go on over the next few years. So, and it's from an animator's point of view, I absolutely love it, and it takes away the one bit that causes me pain. Whenever I'm doing a piece of character animation, and I love character animation, I wouldn't say I'm by any stretch a great character animator, but I love character animation. It's the thought of doing a walk cycle, because it's painful and it's going to take you hours, right, to do it, and this just takes that pain away, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to have an easy life. I mean, frankly, if I can make my life easier when I'm animating and pump something out, it also means I'm delivering faster for the client. Means I can, I could charge the same amount of money and make more profit. I could spend, the rest of the afternoon having tequilas, and you know what I mean. So but likewise, in a competitive world, it would give you an edge over other people who are having to hand animate that, and that means that you could then be slightly less maybe than they are, or produce or spend more time on the important bit of the animation, the acting bit, the facial and the gesticulation with the hands and so on, It means that you can put the effort more in there and still hit the deadline, but with a better piece of animation. Now that's going to give you an edge over anybody else who's animating against you, and that's what that package is. It really should help you a lot and give you a good advantage, really.
Very
Deuce?
nice.
What?
It's your turn.
That's it. I'm done. I could show. Do you want me to quickly show Ripper? Have you seen that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
No. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So let me just. Yes. No. Okay. I will definitely call it up. Give me a second. I closed LightWave at the moment I finished the demo. Stupidly. Let me just. I need to find a scene. So give me a second.
I will go back here and I'll pick up a question here about IK Booster. The truth of the matter is that the developer of IK Booster is with us. He is working on other things. I will not say one way or the other as far as updating, expanding IK Boost, because there's one aspect that I'm not at liberty to make mention of currently that I could see a really powerful dovetail. I could really see bringing the two things together. So I'm going to say that the potential is there, but I'm going to say also that it's not necessarily it's not written on the scrolls to be updated as of yet. But we do know that, I know that IK Boost was such an interesting tool that people really kind of gravitated toward, even though it was never finished. I mean, seriously, that tool was pulled from the developer and released without him giving approval. Yeah. So it was kind of a, really, you're releasing that? It's not done yet. Okay, fine. Go ahead. But
I think also, with a lot of the past systems, they were almost great, but not necessarily fully developed, right? And also inherently in each system that LightWave tried to improve it, they did make headway and did some fantastic things at the point where they did them. But Craig's system is just super fast, and the reason why we bought it was it more or less automates the process of rigging. So as long as you can weight map, which is why we created the weight map brush, which was to make that super simple. As long as you can do the weight brushing and understand the basics of weight brushing, the rigging part now becomes super, super simple. Anyone could do it. So I have never rigged in my life, and I think I rigged it on the first day I got it. I did sugar cube rig, and within a couple of hours, it was easy, right? And I've rigged now on a couple of the demos in real time with no rehearsal, just done it, and it is literally that easy. Once you've learned the principle of rig it, anyone could do it, and that means you're not having to have a specific TD. It means an animator can just do his own easily, right?
And Andrew, would you share your screen again, please?
Yeah. So let me just work out how to do that again.
At the bottom, it says present.
Yeah, it says present, but it doesn't.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? It keeps on. I keep moving the screen down. So let's go share screen.
Your entire screen.
Entire screen share. Oops, sorry, I have to click on it then. There we go. Good. Ready to go?
Yeah, we're ready now. Gotcha.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So what we were trying to do here, we obviously had other methods of seeing it. So we had the VPR. So the VPR is great, but you can see if I try to play that, it plays, but it's very, very blocky, right? And then it has to resolve, and that takes a good amount of time. So one of the things that we really wanted to be able to do was do something whereby we could do this effectively, instantaneously. So what we created was this. Now I've got this, so I'll explain a couple of things about this in a few seconds, but effectively this is a 4K monotone rendering on here. And so it's basically doing a 4K render. And if I push play, you can see that's doing it with no blockiness, done. If I shrink the screen down, so if you guys, can forgive the messiness of my screen and run that, so run that smaller, so forget all the crap I've got over here, that then basically will run back smoother. All right, so it's graphic card dependent. The more powerful graphic card you have, the better it's going to be. But obviously, the more screen real estate, the more it has to do. But it will do HD effectively real time easily. All right, so that's the first thing. So what we've got here, we've got the ability to change the HDR lighting. So where have I got? I'm not sure where I've got my HDR sets. Give me a second. This is where having no rehearsal causes an issue. Let me find out what drawer that was. Ripper. Yeah, okay. So I think there we go. HDRs. Okay. So if I add on a different HDR, there we go. You can see.
Nice.
So that HDR is I can sort of up the luminosity of the HDR or keep it where it's at. I also can rotate that HDR so I can choose where that lighting's affecting my object. Now, part of the reason why we chose HDR lighting is because it's pretty much used for the TV and film industry for most shots output, right? So we wanted the ability to be compatible. So if you're on set, you can take the HDR shot for the special effects shot, load it into LightWave, and then use that to light your CG elements. So you've got a very quick but pretty much accurate lighting model that's going to match your shot. So when the director's directing, he'll be able to see exactly what the shot is going to look like with that lighting model in HDR, right? So that's basically what this was designed for. Obviously, yes, we can have textures. This is just very basic. It was just meant to show the core principle. So the other thing other things we've got here, we can also record this animation out, and we can also save out screen grabs, right? So if I don't have a folder here, let me just put a quick and dirty one here. Let's go demo 10th, and then we'll target that. So screen grab folder. Let's go demo 10th. And so, okay, so all I need to do now is just click grab it. And if I go back there, just do another grab it. And you can see both grabs are instantly there. Now that's saving in OpenEXR, so you've got to adjust the exposure. Let's just, actually you should do that with gamma, shouldn't you really? There we go. Take the gamma down, you're instantly in the same kind of look. And look how sharp that is. Can you see? That's, done instantaneously. It's rendering on the fly brilliantly. So, you've got the ability to change the HDR. Obviously, you can record out if you want to. So on the rendering, actually, another thing we can do here. So it's utilizing, do you see that set to 1280 by 720 there? If I click down here, and I adjust this to 1920 by 1080, it immediately changes to 1920 by 1080. Likewise, I could go to ultra high definition, so 3840 by 2160, and then what I've got the ability of doing on the rendering is I could render at half that res, so that will tighten the render when I output. Okay, so if I choose the render output drawer to be that same demo drawer. Let's go demo 10th. We can now output that, and we can choose how many passes of anti-aliasing. So obviously, on one, that's what's enabling it to be, fast, right? So, sorry, I've got the render open. But effectively, what I can do here is put in a render passes amount, click on render, and then that will start to render that off. There we go. So that's rendering out about a second a frame and rendering that out to this drawer. And actually, if I go here, you can see it's adding, there we go. every second is adding a frame. So for doing your preview renders at a really good quality, so I'm going to stop that just to save time. No one wants to see that do the whole thing. But let me show you one I did. This is exactly the same demo I did a few days ago, but effectively that's the live output. So there's a few little hot spots, but that's straight out, no noise reduction, nothing. That's straight out of that renderer, instantly done as a preview render for your TV show or your film or whatever the case may be. Instead of the director having to wait 30 minutes, an hour, a couple of hours, he's able to get a preview of the shot out in a few minutes, put it on the timeline and see it in context with the shot in minutes, really. That's part of the reason why we created that. So Ripper is a real-time preview renderer for doing your animatics, be it your still frames for storyboards or for doing your shots for dropping into the timeline from the director to be able to see it in context, etc. It uses the right sort of HDR, everything, done. So very, very easy. Actually, just to prove the point with that, I didn't click stop straight away. That's it there. Let me just adjust the gamma and then just click play. There we go. That's literally what we've just output in seconds.
Nice.
It's great, and obviously if you can put a bit of noise reduction on that, it's even better. So I mean, it's pretty noise free. It's actually things like the moire and stuff, and obviously if you put a texture on there, that would actually remedy that. And actually, I'll just show you, see if I can find a scene very quickly with textures. I'm going to load. Actually, let me clear the scene. Load recent scenes. Was it that Ripper demo? I think it was. That's the one with the shades. I think. Let's have a look. I'm talking Deuce there, by the way. So
yeah, I know.
So let's call this up, and I'll run this full screen. I won't run this small. So, okay, so let's just so one of the things Ripper has to do is obviously load the textures and stuff into the graphics card in order for it to play back. But once it's done, there we go. So that's basically a fully textured scene. Actually, let's shrink that down again for playback. So it's playing, but I still got the, because I didn't close the LightWave, I just cleared the scene. But effectively, you can see actually some really cool things here. Look how sharp the clock face is through the glass. And look at the refraction happening there as well. If I did this as a fresh scene install on a brand new sort of open LightWave, obviously the screen, the playback would be faster, but effectively, yeah. So it's a bit sluggish because it's still got in memory the last one I did. I could quickly just do that. Do you want me to just do that? Close this down and do it again from scratch?
Yeah.
Sure, let's do it. Because it only takes a few seconds. So,
the whole idea behind Ripper was getting that, fast feedback of contact and timing. You do your work and you're not sure if the timing and everything is working right, if things look like they're moving in underwater, or moving too fast, moving too slow. And sometimes really the only way to really see it is to do a render type, a render style, a render something. And with Ripper being able to do that in near real time, it's just it's such a time saver.
Well, I've already started using it on production stuff for myself, and it's just lovely to put stuff out. So let me just let's just do sorry, not just do VPR, let's do Ripper. We should have gone back to that first. There we go. Okay, so now there's the Ripper in it running, and now you can see, there we go. That's the real speed of it. So it's obviously at 4K, there's a lot going on there, it slows down. But the key thing here is look at the, look at the clock face. It's so good. And actually one other thing on here, which I really love, is you've got the ability to adjust the depth of field, right? So if I put the aperture to 1, that's probably a bit savage. Right, let's just drag that out. Can you see I'm able to have depth of field? So we will listen. I always do this. I sort of suddenly say this sort of thing, and Steve, says to me, I always watch your demos to see what I've got to do next. So, but I believe Steve's going to add an envelope to the focal distance and the aperture, which means we'll be able to do depth of field pulls and those sort of things. Whether that's going to be in version 2, I don't know, but certainly it's on the list of things to do. I mean, our first priority with this is putting in normal maps, which will help a lot. And then we're also going to be adding in, what's the other thing? Oh, bump maps as well, so which aren't in there yet. So at the moment, it's texture maps all work great. We've got obviously a lot more to add, but it's a starting point, but already working really well. And hopefully over the next year, we're going to get that to be better and better and better. I have to say, NVIDIA have made some great suggestions as well, and are helping us a little bit, which is lovely. So we'll hopefully be able to take this significantly further over the coming few years. If I shrink that down, it's just so everybody can see how we're normally using it. We normally use it with a slightly shrunk screen, and then it's just super fast. And you see that's with the depth of field. Isn't that fun? Just amazing, and super fast. And again, if I change the HDR on that, I'm setting myself up for 4, but let's give this a go. So let's up the brightness a little bit. Again, push play. There we go, done. So if you think from a director's point of view, he's going to be able to change HDRs. He's going to be changed, to instantaneously get the feedback. And yes, I mean it's not perfect. When it's got depth of field on, it has significant amounts more to do. But we've set it at a level that will enable you to output that in real time, and it should be enough for you to put it on the timeline and say, okay, I need to work on, have a bit more depth of field, a bit less depth of field, So let's say I want to add a camera move to that. Again, really easy. Let's just sort of take my camera, move it over here, maybe let's lower it and rotate over there, and then run it. And instantly, I've done my camera move. And it's rendering, and I'm able to output that. So you're not having to, sort of, go and do a render, for even if it's a quick render in Octane, an hour's render. You're doing this literally on the fly, on live, and just outputting the stuff very, very, super quickly. And obviously you can output it super dirty or relatively dirty like this. Or you can output it with more samples and more refinement, and that will take maybe a second a frame, maybe a second and a half a frame. But even at a second and a half a frame, that's significantly faster than normal preview rendering. And if you think about even doing a wireframe render, or you'd never be able to do this in VPR, for instance. It would take ages, and this is giving you real-time output very quickly. You're able to go and adjust a move. It's just super simple. Again, change that camera. Maybe add a mid camera point move as well. So there's our move. Let's go here and maybe just drop the camera down a little bit like that. So I've now got 3 camera positions, instant playback.
Very nice.
And when you couple the thought of using another tool like HDR Light Studio, where you can create, you're creating your own HDR, based and tuned to what you're wanting to, your eventual for use HDR. you kind of easily bridge that gap.
Yeah, I can't find. Well, there it is. There we are. I've stopped sharing, haven't I?
Yes.
Right, cool, good, yeah. So so that's it. I mean, it kind of gives you. I mean, that's two things that if you think on a production, that's going to give you. So one of the hardest things when a director walks in, right? So he walks into the animation studio and he sees a preview, right? He sees the preview and he says, "Oh, okay, could you change this? Actually, I need the camera to start from there and end there, and could you make the character, do this walk over to there and back, right?" So you might just be blocking out whatever. But the director comes in each day and he'll do maybe 3 or 4 shots, across the board. Then he has to go away, generally, come back and see it when those shots are then ready for him to view, right? With Step It and with the Ripper, he can literally come in, move the character where he wants. It's done in just a few minutes, probably while he's looking. He'll be able to then output that as a quick preview using the HDR lighting he's using in his actual shot. And he's done that in maybe 5 minutes. Now, that means he'll be able to get maybe 20, 30 shots done in a day, with that team, rather than the usual 3 or 4 shots. And, maybe more. Frankly, I'm being super safe. He could potentially get, 5 shots done, 10 shots done in an hour. And if it's a big animation team and they're all using that for the character animation and previewing, he's able to walk away with all the preview shots, take them into the edit suite, drop them in. He's doing it on the same day with the alterations, maybe even 2 or 3 rounds of alterations that traditionally would take a week. So think of the time saving you're offering that director. Now, if you're an animator or a small animation company, big animation company, and you can offer that to your director, he's going to be able to output stuff faster and spend more time refining the shots quicker than he can do with any other package. Now, that means you are going to have an advantage as an animator and the company, and the director's going to have an advantage you're giving him that he can't get with anybody else. He's going to love you, right? So, these are tools that we're trying to do across the board in LightWave, is make it so someone can come in, they can have flame done, they can have basic water done, they can have X, Y, and done. It doesn't have to be the finished material, but it can be the perfect thing for animatics and those things. Last thing, before obviously I didn't mean to I suddenly start ranting, but when we took over LightWave, we thought it hadn't been used or wasn't being used in modern films, TV shows. Right. We now know it is being used on almost all the major TV shows produced. So I haven't got that list here, Deuce, but you might have that, or you can just dig that up while I'm talking. But we have a list of latest TV shows. You got things like Fallout and all those stacks of the effects, all done in LightWave. Then on the movie side, things like Beetlejuice and the latest Avatar movie, Top Gun Maverick, and I mean, almost every movie that comes out are either having animatics done, they're having props made, they're doing finished shots with LightWave. Why would you be using LightWave that unless it was giving you a massive advantage? And that's the point about LightWave. It is super fast to animate with, and if it isn't about, and obviously playing nice with other packages is designed so you don't have to change what you're using, but you could be using LightWave with that to help you speed up the process, to enable you to deliver stuff faster for a client. And that is what this is really about. It's about, from our point of view, we want to make LightWave so easy to do the basic things that you need to do for production that you can pump shots out super fast, but also you can carry on working in Houdini, you can carry on working in Maya, you can carry on working in Blender. It doesn't matter. Obviously, in a perfect world, everybody would move onto LightWave, but the reality of that is, everybody probably uses several packages for doing their work, and everybody does, So there's nothing wrong with that. But there is a definite place where LightWave is giving people huge advantages at the moment, and they're outputting stuff that's just amazing across the board: TV, film, engineering, architecture, advertising, everything. And exactly the opposite of what I thought was the situation with LightWave. And I mean, I think it was what were some other movies? I think Deuce. It was Beetlejuice in recent times. The Ghostbusters movies, some of the Star Trek TV shows.
Oh, yeah.
That produced.
What about Tron?
I don't know. I don't know about the current Tron, but we often find out 6 months to 8 months later. So, you know, we found out about Top Gun Maverick about a year after. You know, so I don't want to drop the person in it, because obviously you shouldn't do that. But that movie, obviously, you know, all the shots were supposed to be, you know, real, and they're not. You know, so you know, all the animatics were done with LightWave. Actually, a lot of finished shots were done with LightWave, and that is honestly, it's the same for so many movies. You would not believe it. And you know, we've always had that problem of not having the budget to pay licensing to have publicity shots from movies. You know, we're a small company. But
I've even found that some of the Star Trek movies, I didn't. You know, you think about, you know, different tools for different, you know, toolkits for different things. And I discovered that on a number of Star Trek, they actually animated the camera in LightWave, but then they did other stuff in other packages. But moving the camera around, they found faster and easier to do in LightWave than in it. And I was like, okay, that's odd, but I'll take it. I mean, but you know, it's kind of, but it's just unique, you know, that for some reason, I guess it kind of, it folds back to, you know, LightWave's roots of being a videographer's tool, that it's built from, you know, the point of view of someone using a camera, you know, looking through the camera to line up their shots, and everything is built around that.
You mean,
you know?
back in the Amiga days?
Oh yeah, back in the Amiga days.
Yeah.
Way back in the, oh my God.
So I've just found, so we got on the press stuff here. Let me just see if I can find the right one. So let's have a quick look.
There's a number of independent game guys that use LightWave, David. It's amazing. When I learned that practically all of your video poker, video gambling systems, all your slot machines that you know have characters and hands dealing cards and all this, when I learned that all of that was LightWave, I was like, oh my, you know, that's kind of crazy. That's amazing. You know, it pops up from different. Oh, Tony just joined us.
Yeah. Hey, Tony.
I'm just so give me a second, guys. I'm just trying to. I would like to try to find just some of the latest lists of films and TV shows, and I thought I had it. Yeah. Yes, guidelines, branding. Trouble is, I'm rushing. You know what it's like when you rush. You're just kind of missing stuff. Actually, I just realised I'm looking at how many things, you know, we've added to LightWave, and it's literally, there's so many new features we've added. I don't think it's that one.
So while Andrew is looking, guys, listen, we have a mailing list. We do these every week. Any types of LightWave promotions or updates and the recent news, join our mailing list. It's fun. So it's free, I wanted to say. So yeah, join the mailing list. I put the link right now into the chat box, and be a part of be a part of the Blender and LightWave users group family.
So, by the way, the other thing is we're now giving away LightWave on the education side for free. So one of the things
that is fantastic, because I currently teach at 3 colleges, so most of what I'm teaching has been Blender, and but now that LightWave is free for education, that's fantastic. So I'll talk to Deuce on how to get set up for that.
Well, do you know the other thing we're going to do with that? We're going to do it free for any college, school, anything, right? So it's entirely free. But on top of that, we're going to try to develop, and the only reason why we haven't announced it, massively yet, is because we're trying to create a curriculum for it, so that everybody, to help you if you're teaching, just to know, it saves you having to do the work, right? So we're trying to create a curriculum for it, and we're also going to be doing a much lower price point. Yeah, we're going to do a lower price point when someone leaves college. They effectively can carry on using LightWave really cheaply while they start getting into productions and things, and then gradually escalate them up. So, and that is a full version of LightWave, by the way. There's nothing cut out at all. The only thing we're doing is limiting it to HD. That's it, right? So, just limiting the resolution for the render for HD, but everything else is all good. So, everything else is included as standard. I cannot find this this list of films. I can't. Maybe I've got the wrong doc. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stuff based around trial versions, educational versions, and things like this. Currently, it's done by hand, by me, and we're working on, getting our the back end of our server, set up in such a way that it can be done a little bit more automatic. I mean, it's not that it's just getting everything sorted and and proper, really.
Yeah, I think so, Stephen. I can't find it. I just can't find the list. But I mean, if I get it to you, you're able to pass that out to everybody so they can see what.
Matter of fact, set up a link on your website as well as who uses LightWave or where it's used, and just get them on there as well. But I absolutely will send it out to my group.
Yeah. There's one of the guys at Pinewood. He does all the props and stuff for like James Bond movies, Marvel, Star Wars, and all of the props. He tried moving away, and he was unable to get the stuff done as fast, so he moved back to LightWave. So they're thinking of doing a training course at Pinewood Studios to teach LightWave users for prop making, because it's significantly faster than any other system they've ever used. And so things like the James Bond Aston Martin, the one they blew up in Skyfall, that's done in LightWave, right? And then on recent movies, Marvel movies, the Captain America shield, the Thor's hammer, all the props and things are also, they're all done by these guys in Pinewood who make those for all those movies. So again, all LightWave. So it's used for props, it's used for creating your previs, it's used for doing final shots, for so many shows. And I mean, one of the best shows I think I've seen this year, I think Raised by Wolves was done with it, but also, in fact, I think Sean did a couple of shots on Raised by Wolves as well. It used on, what was the Fallout, which is one of the highest grossing shows of the last few years. That's LightWave, heavily LightWave. And so it really is being used at the top edge. And I think we actually made a policy change. Instead of talking about the past, we've from now on we now are talking about what we're doing, where we're going, the future, and not kind of being apologetic about what happened in the past. I suppose we don't need to do that anymore. I think it's now out there and being used. If you're an animator and you're not using it, there are certain areas you're going to be slower, and it should become part of your armory. Only part of your armory, but it should be part of your armory. Deuce, do you want to show the cell shade about it? Have we got time for that, Stephen?
Yeah, we should absolutely do. And matter of fact, go ahead and share your screen, Deuce.
Well, I am quickly doing some high level modeling.
Oh, did I drop you in it? Good.
High level.
So
now we're
actually,
high level.
yeah. But I know it's Andy Bishop modeling. Trust me, it'll be a cube and a ball. Right. So what you should show is also the anime pictures from. Are they Kamikaze? No, they're not Kamikaze Douga. They're the other ones. But by the way, just again another thing. One of the biggest anime films was Ninja Batman, right? Which is a massive in Japan, and they've just done I can't remember the name of the movie, but I think it's Batman versus the Yakuza or something, and which is the sequel, all done in LightWave. Do you know what I mean? So it's heavily used in anime as well. Again, two of the best. I mean, they're amazing movies. But anyway, sorry, Deuce.
Someone just posted a list here of films productions. Let's see, Westworld season 3.
Yeah.
We've got Shining Girls, Apple TV. We've got Debris, NBC. We got Smyrna, and The Invisible Fight, King Shaka.
Yeah, I mean, some of them I haven't seen. So again, fantastic. So and obviously I've mentioned a load which aren't there, but it's fantastic, and I think the animation market has fallen away for a long time, and I think the problem is people need to remember what the tools are that are actually still pumping out effects. And if they want to get jobs at those studios, they're going to need to be using these sort of tools, in order to get those jobs. Anyway.
Thank you, Andrew. And so, you are live.
So
that's my kind of modeling. That.
This hey, took a lot of time on this. Give me grief. All right. What I'm just going to do, quite literally, I mean, box ball, Taurus. I've just fired up the tune filter. The tune filter is a pixel filter, and it has been made to work with VPR. So what I'm just going to do is drop into my tune filter. I'm going to right click and add a layer. This is a layered system. So by which I can add objects, or I can even add surfaces. I can do this by object or by surface to pull this in for doing cell shade look. So a little bit of right click, I can add in. Let's add in the Taurus, and let's fire up VPR. So this is going to show me that the Taurus that I have added to the layer is now inheriting the bulk that I have set up for the layer. That's what the little eyeball means. If I click on, I will get to that as we go. So for the base, let's change my color to green here, and we'll see that now my lines are green on my Taurus. If I were now to say add the cube, so if I add the cube to this layer, it is going to inherit the settings that I did for the Taurus. So this allows me to do this multi-level, ability, make one change and they all inherit it. Right here at this point, because I've got it green, I do want to illustrate one thing. These layers that I'm adding, and I can have as many layers as I want, are automatically creating AOVs. So if I slide down here and find, let's see, looking for layer edge right there, and my VPR will now show me that the AOV that I've created for that layer is being created with alpha. So what this means is I don't necessarily have to use this tool for cell shade. Maybe I'm doing an engineering illustration and I want to highlight something. I can use this to create my highlighted edge. as a layer, render that out, and then bring that in as a layer in my compositing application, and then go nuts, go crazy with it. But this just makes this a heck of a lot easier of doing this type of work. So what I want to do now is let's kind of get into some of the additional controls that what we're dealing with here. For across the bottom here, I've got depth, normal, outline item, surface, primitive, and shading. If I come through here, I'm just going to come through and turn off everything. Off, and off. So, as we expect, no lines are drawn. If I come back here to outline and just turn on outline, what we're going to see is we're going to see the outline of our items. As you can see, the vertical line here is not being drawn. It's actually outlining around the sphere because of my torus. Think of it in ray tracing terminology. Now, what I'm going to do here, since right now the only thing that layer has is green and outline, if I come down here to, say, the torus and turn on my eyeball, now I have made this torus, which is part of that layer, I have now made him unique. So as you can see, the green is still on the cube, but not on my torus, and my torus has picked up a lot more of the information that we had in our base default setup. Under normals, we see I've got it set for 1 degree is the current default. If I change this to say 0.01, then I'm going to be able to pull in the missing that was around it, or I don't even have to do that. I can come back over here to my primitive and turn on primitives. And what the primitive is now going to do is it's going to find every polygon and do the outline for that. This is root and base. Now, I'm not limited here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to add another layer. And I'm going to add that torus to this layer too. So if I add here, and let's say that I come back here to this torus, and let's make this line scale 1.5. He's going to be 1.5 in his base setting. I can come here and make this red. And so now what I've got is I've got a red line inside of my black. So if I drop this maybe to 0.5, and let's go ahead and do the same matching here of turning on primitive for that. And as you can see here, I've got this layering capability that I can really build up some interesting and varied looks. What I now want to quickly show is I'm going to come here to this cube, because this cube has nothing on it. It's completely clear. It's no texture, no anything. I'm going to make him unique. And I'm going to tap here on my node editor. Drop in a surface evaluator and plug that into the shading. And so what now it's going to do is it can now read all of the things that happen to the shading aspect of that surface and use it to draw lines as well. However, I can do something a little bit more creative here. Let's go to flakes. And let's take this texture here and plug it into shading. Now I can start using the lines or the differentiation between the texturing to draw lines on my surface. So I'm not limited to just what's built into the model. I can actually do effects and surface effects and other type things to layer that on top. Real fast here, as I want to be able to maybe do some quick Q&As. One of the things that I want to do here is I'm going to take this cube now, because he's unique. I'm going to change him from solid. Let's make him reflective.
Ooh.
And so now if I do the reflective,
Sound.
now I'm seeing the reflection
Oh,
in.
the sound is acting weird.
Yeah. However, let's do this. I'm going to remove this. Let's lose this. Let's delete that layer entirely. And so what now with the cube, I'm going to right click on my cube and I'm going to add that torus underneath him. And I might even get rid of that. Let's do this. I want to show you this as this is a different type of a thing. So I'm going to delete the torus out of there and just have the torus underneath the cube. So what I now have is the cube is reflecting. Let's turn that on. Let's see the cube. Let's go over here to ray tracing, and let's say so we've got the overwrite. I can even change it. I can do this also in such a way as to say, let's say, see the cube. If I change it to red, so I can even say here that the torus I can make unique, so that now the torus is black, but the cube is red. So I've got all manner of, how I want to have it refract. I can, and additionally, I mean, I'm kind of running low, but here, let's add in another. Let's add a layer. Add the sphere. Let's add the. Let's add the torus. And actually, what I wanted to do was to put the sphere under the torus, so I can make the torus here, make it transparent. So here's where we get into the whole thing of I've got an anime character and I'm wearing glasses and I want to see the lines of the eyes through the lenses. So we can, right now I'm seeing through the torus. So we say here, see, I'm getting tangled up in my own head.
No, but it's all good. Do you by any chance have the girl with the glasses picture somewhere?
Oh, I might.
I just think because it's obviously you've taken them through, and obviously we can save out each of those individual layers, which is great, right? So you can save out those as individual layers. We've got more things coming, but at the moment, it gives them unbelievable flexibility in terms of how they output this and what they can have as transparent. You can have multiple transparent layers, and you can have it only. You might only want one layer of inter transparency or ray trace past the glasses. But the reason why I was going to show you if we got the image we could show of the girl character with the glasses on, you get a very good indication there of how transparency works on here and why it's so important for in LightWave and or for people who use LightWave. I mean, the anime market is still dominated even now by LightWave, and obviously with the tools we're writing very specifically for that market, we're trying to make that simpler, faster, quicker, for outputting complete anime productions via this route.
Yeah, of course, as it would be.
Do you want me to see if I can find it, or have you?
You look too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's horrible in it. Sorry, but I didn't mean to drop you in it. I kind of know what it's like. I don't know where that image is. Actually, I tell you what I do have. I could share my screen and just show a picture from one of the brochures. So, let me just find that picture first. Oh, there we go. Yeah, bigger.
So go ahead and share your screen when you're ready.
Yeah, give me a second, and I'll just want to find the biggest version of it I can find. Here we go. Right, okay. Right, I'll just share my screen and show you. So,
all right. So I'm going to remove Deuce.
So
bring us back this way.
Present. Share screen. Oh, why is that? Oh, yeah, okay. I made a mistake. That's all good. Entire screen. There we go. Okay.
Right, there we go.
We good? So
yeah, we're good.
Okay. So you can see obviously these are things. So a bit hard to see. These are very small, but we'll try to find these images so you've got them and can see them fully. But if you look here, you're seeing the girl's eye behind the glass, and you've got here the hair in front of the glasses with just the outline shown, not the eyeball. So what we're talking about here is unprecedented control of transparency layers visible in one render output, all native again in LightWave as standard, right? So it means that you can have supreme control over your sort of transparency layers to get exactly that anime effect. I mean, this is from an anime movie, right? So that's actually not the name of the studio there. Tomato.
I found it.
Oh, you got the okay. Let's see it. If you see it full screen, it is better. So I'll get out, and you can then do it. Okay. There we go, bud.
And I'm gonna go get. Is Deuce sharing his screen yet?
I am now.
Yeah.
All right. Let me go get it, and there it is, Deuce.
There we go.
So yeah, that's so here this is the you have the ability to have varied line thicknesses, varied you can make there's full node editor on this, so you can have the I'm trying to zoom here.
Well, you've got full control over the anti-aliasing or no anti-aliasing if you prefer to anti-alias in another system. You've got line thickness, line color, each component part by object, surface, and there was something else as well, wasn't there? Object, surface. We can output basically all the component parts individually if you want. So you could end up with 30, 40, 50 layers of all the component parts, so you can composite them, with less anti-aliasing, or even add a blur on for faking depth of field on the anime. Everything.
You see here the thicker line is made up of splotching, and then the inner line here is a different color and unbroken. So you really have that level of control of being artistic about the way the lines even look. We have full node control. You can make those textured. Like I say, you can vary the thickness. There's all manner of control on this, and we really did this with the purpose of meeting the needs of the anime market in Japan.
Nice.
It's cool, and I again, can't stress it enough. These aren't third-party plugins; they're all just included as standard. So you've got all the anime tools at the highest level that are being used by the top anime studios. You've got the real-time previous tools. You've got the high-end sort of character animation tools. You've got Fire, Flame, and you're not having to go to third-party packages to utilize those at the highest level. OpenVDB, You've got that in there, and there's presets in there for cloud, smoke, all kinds of things built in, and it's just so many things. You know, the instance brush in there in LightWave is again super fast, real time, just fantastic and very simple to use. And we even made a little device called Construct, again included with it, which does stairs, bridges, and those sort of things. Which
and the reason we called it Construct and not stairs is because we have future ideas for it that's going to be more than just stairs. It's going to be our construction bit. I have stopped sharing.
No, good.
All right. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a little bit of a flavour of some of the things we've just worked on this time round, and obviously there's loads more you can see on the website, and obviously all the little demo videos we do, and so on and so forth. I'm supposed to have done it already, but I'm doing a one on weight brush rigging and just a quick overview for people so they understand how easy it is to do all that stuff, which I'll try to get done tomorrow. He says.
He says optimistically.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this was absolutely fabulous. Thank you very, very, very much. We're at that time. It's 1 o'clock.
Cool. Have you enjoyed it?
What was that?
Have you enjoyed it, Steve?
I enjoyed it immensely. In fact, I would be so honored if you would come back again.
Well, what would be great? I mean, obviously we've yabbered on as only me and Deuce can, but I mean, obviously, questions from you guys, from you, and from your viewers and things. We'd obviously love to come back and answer questions about the future and what we're doing and what all. So it'd be great to do another one, and really fun to do. So.
All right, this has been, and thank you also, Deuce. Deuce has been here before, so he's always been an avid supporter.
Well, thanks for letting me come on. And,
thank you for being a part of this. It's a great honor. And everyone, thank you for being here. And we'll be back again, I think, next week. Next week, we're going to have a different type of broadcast. We have a concept artist. He's a digital painter, and using Photoshop. So I think you'll find them fascinating. So we'll come back about the same time as well. And before we go, what I like to do is let me let's see, add the stage. Let me go down here. I'm gonna share our supporter. There we go. I'm gonna go get my video file. That's it. I'm gonna share a little commercial from we have an official supporter, Lamont's Barbecue, and I always like to share at the very end of our broadcast. And again, thank you all for being here.
Over 150 years ago, in a plantation kitchen near Jackson, Tennessee, Lucinda Macklin, the head cook, created masterpieces of Southern cooking every day. With her culinary creativity and her knowledge of certain secrets of food preparation, Lucinda made her very own special sauces. She developed a variety of marinades and sauces full of diverse herbs, spices, and a whole lot of love. The thick and tangy barbecue sauce she made was so rich, it was poured into jars rather than bottles. Soon, Lucinda's delicious, authentic sauces became known all across the South. Lucinda Macklin was wise enough to realize that her gift for cooking wasn't truly a gift until it was given. So she passed her many recipes on to her daughter, Osabel, and Osabel imparted her knowledge to her daughter, Thelma. Thelma kept the tradition alive by passing those precious gifts to her son, Lamont Burns. And Lamont is still passing it on and on and on.
I'm Lamont Burns, inviting you to enjoy my great-grandmother Lucinda's recipes in every jar of the Lamont's authentic Southern marinade and barbecue sauce. You spend good money on meats, but you're probably not getting that good down-home flavor. Marinate your meat in Lamont's marinade. It puts the flavor from the skin to the bone long before you ever cook it. Then add the Lamont's Authentic Southern Barbecue Sauce. And I tell you, you got some good eating.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you all again. We'll see everybody next week.
Guys, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for